Hey, welcome to another episode of Dave's Imaginations. Today we're going to be assembling the legs and the vertebrae of the Mostarle Nebulipedes metallic model. So that is the back, well, it's really the centerpiece. The middle of this model is the vertebrae on which everything is built. And then we're going to also be assembling the legs and then the back spikes and also the tail, the butt, the back end of this super cool Nebulipede model. So, a couple things to note as we talk through this. In step 14, bend the eye hoop to more easily screw the bolt head. It's in the notes, and I'll show it right here. You can see that eye hoop is meant to be bent, and I indeed, not in just this step. Anytime I had one of those, I'd move it back, screwed my bolt head in, I'm gonna screw it in, and then I'd move it back as needed. So that was for those pieces where they had that eye hoop in the piece. Now in steps 22 and 30, it says to pull the B5 forward before tightening. Now you can see it in the step by step. This is the vertebrae, and I'll say I struggled. I didn't know what they meant by pull it forward. Is this forward? Is that forward? I didn't know. In the end, I don't think it really mattered. In the end, when you build this Nebulipede, when I did anyway, it was very bowed, and I didn't have any problem flattening it out later. So I didn't have any problem. Hopefully you don't either. So that was steps 22 through 30. Steps 35 and 37, make sure you use the correct holes. Here I can show you. This is that iridescent piece, and there's a circular. The first time I did it, I put it in the wrong hole. Then I had to unassemble it, put it together. And I tell you, putting those together is very fidgety. You can pull your hair out trying to get that all to work. So I was able to do it. I'm sure you will be able to, but if you use the wrong hole, you're gonna have to undo it and redo it again. So assembling the leg segments in steps 14 to 16, you do that 18 times. I don't show you all of them. I show you a couple times and then that's done. All right. And then same with assembling back spikes in steps 17 through 20. You do that 9 times. I do it once, maybe twice, and then I do the rest off camera. And some of the vertebrae, you have steps 21 through step 30, and then assemble the tail spikes. That is the very end. That spikes the antenna. That's steps 31 through 38. So as I did in my last video, I pull out the pieces, and then I show you as I start to assemble it. It's hard to see because of the camera angle. I get it, but I do show you the piece after I've assembled it. So hopefully you can see something in here that'll help you out, and you can reduce some of the frustrations that I had as I put it together. But in the end, I think it did come out very good. Right after this, we'll get to the building of the legs and the vertebrae in steps 14 through 38. So stay with me. Step 14. And we got a bunch of these. 18 of these things to do. SC2-16. I need 18 of those guys. C11. 36 of those guys. Good thing we have a lot of those. C27. Should have 18 of those. And S2. Oh, crap ton of those S2s. SC2-16. We need 18 of those. It's going to be a whole bag. What do you think? You think that's all 18? I think it's more than 18 of this. SC2-16. C11. C11. We need 36 of these guys. I'm just going to make a pile. And then 18 of the S2s. Looks like I'm in step 14. Right? To make these, you take your SC2-16 and one of those eyelet things with the eyelet toward the screw head. Then you add I didn't get my spacer. C27. I need 18 of these. This could be 18. There's 15. There's 18. So I have 4 left over. SC2-16 with an inlet spacer. The SC27. Other C11 the opposite direction. And then you cap it off with S2. And I gotta make 18 of these things. So I better come up with a good process on how to make these, because now you are going to end up bending these eyelets anyway. So let's just bend that out, and then you can twist it on. They want them at a 45-degree angle eventually. That is in step 15. We're in step 14. So let's go ahead and tighten this up. And you want the eye inlets opposite each other and bend out to about 45 degrees. So if we take 45 degrees, right, it is a right angle. So half of that is 45 degrees, right? 90, 45. So I don't know. Someone's going to say, yeah, that's not 45, that's 30. Yeah, maybe. So, but it's pliable. So and they're supposed to be opposite each other, right? Now, what I don't know is, was I supposed to bend both sides? It doesn't look like you're supposed to bend both sides. You're supposed to bend the side with the bolt. So not the side with the screw head, this side with the bolt. So we'll leave the side with the screw head flat for now. All right, flat for now. All right, here you can see the screw bolt head, 45 degree with the eye inlet. All right, we're gonna do that, and we need to do that 18 times. All right, so that 1. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna turn off the video. We'll come jump back at when I have all of them done. All right. Be back soon. So I've done steps 14 and 15, and we got 18 of those segments. And now we're on to 16. Step 16, and looking at that, yeah, just 16. Let's just do 16, and that looks like we're attaching those 18 to other stuff. Okay, for step 16, we need SC3-12, that, M3, these, EN3s, C3, and F1. So I need 18 of everything except for the M3s, of which I need 36. S3-12, we need 18 of these guys. M3, 36 of these guys. That could be all of them. M3, EN3, we need 18. That's probably all of those. Same with the F1s. And then the C3s. Probably all these. So if we lay this out, we have our C12, SC3-12, an M3, one of these 14, 15 assemblies, a purpley piece, M3, a second M3, so another one of these, a spacer, and an F1, a little stinger looking thing. And you piece these all together. See how this goes. You want it angling back toward the bolt head, Bolt, nut, piece angling toward the bolt head, the purpley piece with the flat side toward the eye inlet, the next M3, and then the little stinger part. The spacer, what I was calling the spacer, but really not a spacer because it does twist on. All right, and I just hand tighten it. Now, does that look like the picture? I think so. Good. So I'll do the rest of those, and I'll be right back. So those are 18 segment things assembled from step 16. And so I think we're ready to move on to step 17. Looks like 17 and 18 might be mirrors of each other. We're looking at 17 and 18, which means we need SC-2-10, MP, P7, C11, Charlie 11, C11, a bunch of those, and S2. And if we do 17 and 18 together, we can get 18 of each of these out. I'm just going to guess that is all of them. SC2-10, then we need an MP. Probably not all these MPs, unless you need more than one. No, just... And then we do the P7s. That's probably all these, unless they have like one extra. And then we do the C11, our favorite little eyepiece. They like this piece. That looks close to all of them. And then the tiny little washer. 18 of these guys. Assemble these. We take our SC10. We put a washer on it. My fingers are getting a little raw after doing all this tiny work. That last one where you had to screw around the bolts the whole time, that was took some damage on that. All right, put this on. Put the P7, and then the I inlet goes opposite. And like I like to do, I like to bend that out so I can get the little nut on the end. I might have to bend that back when I'm done, but sometimes they have you bend it anyway. So I tighten this. I'm going to tighten until, it's tight, but I don't have to crank on it. All right, so there. Now, according to the picture, if I try to get this like the picture, straighten the eyelet back out, that's pretty close to the picture, just like that. That is piece for 17. Let's go ahead and do 18, and then I'll just finish them all. All right, that was 17. 18 is basically the mirror. Putting a washer on, just one washer. If that one went that way, we want this one to go this away, this away. So that is that piece. The mirror of this piece, 17, 18. If I put it like the picture, I think that is gonna be 17. Put it like the picture, that is 17 and 18. Okay, so we'll go ahead and finish those up, and I'll show you the group when they're done. So with the pieces from step 17 and 18 complete, here you go, yeah, right there. We can move on to steps, looks like 19. We'll move on to step 19. I already have the MP out, and we need 18 of those anyway, so that's probably more than enough. SC2-6 and the B10, boy 10, infamous S2. All right, we could almost leave those out. It seems like every step uses S2. We could probably leave those out. All right, so let's pull these out. I usually start with the bolt, and we need 9 of these. And then we have the MP. We have plenty of MP out. We need 9 of these B10s, and then the S2s. We need 9 of the S2, but we're going to need more than 9 in the next step. So in this step, we're going to take the bolt, and we'll take an MP. We're going to take this assembly from 17. Now the assembly from 17, if we look at the picture, has it so with the eye flat toward us, the claw curves away and down. And then a bracket, thin area of the bracket goes that way. Then we have another washer, and then finally we have the bolt. Piece that together. Looks like the bracket, the B10 angles away. Bolt, washer, clothing, small end of the B10. It's a little bit tricky to get that next to that nut. That bracket's pretty tight. All right, with a little push of the screwdriver, it went right in. All right, now we try to get the bolt on there. I got it started. So it looks like step 20 is actually the same step, just the other way, the reflection. So step 19 is putting it together for the piece we created in 17, and step 20 is doing it for the piece we put in 18. And so that is the piece we created in step 19. I think it looks like the picture, with the picture like this. Let's do the one in step 20. That's the 17 pile, and this would be the 18 pile. So let's take a piece of the pile from the 18. We have our SC-6 with the washer, bolt, washer, piece from 18, the B10, another washer, and then the S2 bolt. Get that started by finger. Then I will tighten it with pliers. Gotta grab it. So that is a piece we made in step 20. And here are the pieces, reflections of each other. We have step 19 and step 20. I will go ahead and finish the rest of those, and then we'll check back in. Okay, so there's all the pieces from steps 19 and 20. And so we look on to steps 21. Let's pull out the pieces. Let's peel out the parts for step 21. SC2-6. I think we already have some of those out. We only need one. MP, which is the washers, so we already got those. EP4. EP4, that's new. EP4. iridescent. Is that the right word for this color? Iridescent? Maybe. I'll have to look up the meaning of iridescent. And then we need a bracket B7. B7, we need 2 of those. And then a familiar S2, which is the bolts. SE6, we need 1 of those. 2-6. MP. EP4, we're going to need in the next 2 steps, so I'll keep that close. 3 steps. And B7, 2 of those. That's the only 2. And we need another MP. And finally, an S2. Lesson learned from a previous step, looking at the orientation of the bracket. The brackets are facing the bolt head. So we'll assemble it something like this. We have the bolt, we have a washer, have the bracket piece, the iridescent bracket piece. Now these other L brackets angle toward the bolt head. Are they same? No, they're not the same. So on those, it's going through the bigger eye loop. So we'll make sure we do that. Then we have the other washer, and then we need to cap it off with the bolt. All right, of the things I made, that wasn't too bad. But is it gonna be a pain? I stacked those L brackets, and apparently they need to be opposite each other. Okay, grab the bolt with the pliers, and we'll screw that up. Pretty firm. We need to be able to manipulate those brackets a little bit, as they need to be pretty level. So there we go. All right, so that is the bracket for 21. Okay, so 21 is used in the next step, it looks like, for 22. 22, we need another SE2-6, another MP washer. We need another EP4, and then the piece from, normally they tell you piece 21, 1B5. We need that in the next few steps also, so we'll keep that close. A washer and a bolt. All right, let's see if we can put this together. The bolt, a washer, EP4, the bracket we assembled in 21, B5 piece going through the big opening, another washer, and then we need to put a bolt on all that. You can't just set it on the ground because this previous piece has a bolt on it and it becomes wonky. Even though I really want to, someone out in the universe is laughing at me. So, there's a better way to do that. If there is, leave it in the comments. I might like to know it for if I ever do one of these again. There, I got it. This looks like it's going to be the spine of the centipede. So I'm going to have a bazillion of these to do. So I better figure out a good way to do it. Try to grab that nut with my pliers. Turn it sideways to tighten it up. It's kind of nice. I didn't have to hold the nut with the washer to get it at least a little. I'm noticing that I might have this upside down. Because as we look at the picture, all the bolt heads are on the same side, and I've got this opposite each other. So we'll take this apart and pay attention to that. Remember, the brackets are supposed to face the bolt head. That's the mistake I made. So it's kind of nice because these are wax nuts. They have a little lockness to them. I don't know if they listened to me from the last video, but yeah, I was saying that these bolts should have a little lock mechanism to them, and these ones do, and that's kind of nice. So they shouldn't loosen up too bad. So there's the second of I'm assembling the spine. I'm sure that's what this is. The spine to the centipede. That looks like steps 23 and 24 are continuing this on. I wonder if it just goes on and on. So pulling out the 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30 look like they're all just extending the spine. So in step 21, I was supposed to widen the brackets as far as I could before tightening. They're pretty wide. We'll have to see if that's wide enough. And then step 22, it says pull B5 forward before screwing tight. B5 forward. Now B5 is this bracket. So what's forward mean? I don't really know what forward means. So as I look at this, I see that the bracket isn't necessarily centered on that. I'm going to loosen this just a little bit. and see if I can pull this forward and then tighten it again. So that was steps 21 and 22. So we've just finished steps 21 and 22. And as I look at steps 23 and then 24 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 28 and 29 and 30, all those steps are the same. You just added another, part of the spine. So I'm going to go ahead and finish all of those, and then I will get back with you with step 31. So I just did step 23, and this is just a third of the vertebrae of the spine, I think. And I think I might have stumbled on a little technique. This is not a spitball. This is poster tacky. And it's just a little bit tacky, sticky. And this is a little bit bigger than a pea size. And I shape it, and I just put it on my building table here. And I put my bolt head right on top, just like that. Put my first washer on top of that. Pretty easy. It's very stable. Then you have your next vertebrae. Stack your previous build on top of that. And then you put your, this is the B5 piece, and it just sits right on top of that very nicely. Very nicely. And you can put a little pressure on it. You can set it down there if you want. And that bolt head just sticks right through. It's not falling over. It's got it all balanced for you. You put your next washer on top of that. And then you got this. It works. It just works. That you put the bolt head on top. I say it works, and then I have the balancing act. For me, this was a lot easier. A lot easier to get that started. And then once you get it started, I pick it up and I finish it off. And you can see that kind of got compressed as I did, but that's fine. That's what you wanted. That was what I intended all along. And because next time I will reform that poster tacky, and so I can do the next one. Tighten that up a little bit. It does say to pull that B5 forward, and not very clear what that really means. Pull the B5 forward. That is the instructions from the manual. Some of these I might have to go back and tighten back up. That second one's pretty loose. That's what the process I did. That's what I'm going to do. That poster tacky seems to really help. I'm going to be using that for the rest of these. Okay. I've got all the vertebrae here. I am to step 30. Step 30, the only difference between step 30 and the rest of them is step 30 doesn't have another vertebrae. Another one of these iridescent pieces. You do the same process. You just don't have that one part. The EP4 part. All right, you don't have that part. Otherwise, it's the same as all the rest. So using that same technique, I have the poster tacky, put the bolt on top of there, find a spot on the table, kind of like that, put a washer on top of that. This time you do not have the EP4 part, and so you just put this right on top, and then you put the, what is that? That is the B5 part. You put the B5 part on, and it says again, pull the B5 forward before screw tightening. That's good. You get another washer, put the washer on, and you put the bolt on. And because you have the poster tacky on there, that becomes a lot easier. Famous last words, right? But the poster tacky is holding that bolt somewhat. You can get that, just hand tighten, get that started, and then you can finish it off with the screw, pliers, and the screwdriver. You want it tight, not too horribly tight. You'd like to be able to manipulate that B5 part a little bit, making sure you pull that forward. All right, and now here's the thing I'm noticing is as you pull the latest one forward, you're pushing the previous one back. So be a little cognitive, aware of that fact. And so I've tried to do that. We're going to see. I have a feeling that pulling those brackets forward is going to make a difference in some future stuff. We will see. So that is steps, I don't know, what was that? It was 21 through 30, basically, of putting that vertebrae together. Step 31. Need SC2-8. Here we go. 2-8, a W1, and we need 2 of those, 2 of the W1s, 4 C14s. And that is it for that. Looking ahead, we don't do that twice, so we can set these out. 2 of the W1s, that's all of those in the bag. And SC2-8, we need 4 of those. I'm assuming that 8 is 8 millimeters. Okay, let's put this thing together. You have a bracket. There's the W1. Now it says it has 2 of them. Oh, because you're going to do it twice. Okay, so we're going to build this thing twice. 2 of the bolts. And then we put these C14s on top. You got one started, get the second one started. Oh, and then I can screw them both kind of at the same time. That's kind of nice. And this is just hand tighten for now. There we go. There we go. There is the one. I think that's right. I would do the other one. Seems pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Always a scary thing when things are straightforward. There's the second one. There's the other one. Now we got those 2 brackets, right? This is brackets made in C31. We got those set right there. On to step 32. Step 32 looks like we're going to make two pieces. And for that, we need SC2-16, 2 of those, 4 C11s, 2 of the C27s, as we're building 2 of these assemblies, and 2 S2s. That's 2 of the bolts, 2 of these guys. S2, C27, SC2-16, and C11. So 2 sets of all of those. We are in step 32. We're going to assemble 2 of these pieces together. We take our SC2-16. We feed an eye inlet through it. All right, we put that spacer on there, that C27 spacer, and it just slides on there. Good, don't have to screw that on. Put the other eyelet on, and then we try to get the bolt on. Now, these bolts, in the past, I've bent that eye inlet so that I could have that bolt on there better, but let's this time try it without and see what happens. Now, when I try it without, I suspect I have to spin it with the eye inlet. Can I do that? Not so well. Not so well. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bend that eye inlet out and put just out, and then I'll bend it back later. It bends pretty well. It's actually designed to, in the previous steps you saw, they bend the heck out of those in some of the spots. All right, then I can get the bolt on a little bit easier. And then once I get it started, really, you can't do much more than start because then the bolt head starts to spin. And once you get it started, you grab it with your pliers and you screw it up. I am good at screwing things up. So you see right there, I just screwed it up. The bolt head fell off. Nice, spins right on. Grab that guy with the pliers. And then once you get it on there, now orientations of the eyelet, they're kind of parallel, kind of like that, So you can see the eyelets are both on top, if you want to call that top or bottom, whatever, but they're on the same side, right? You can kind of see. And that's just the one. Let's do the other one. But if you look at it, and as I bend the eyelet back, I have eyelets on the same side as each other, right? They're both at the top, matches the picture, and I have both the parts made in step 32. Step 33. We also need, well, let's get out the SC2-25, 2 of those, as we're making 2 of these. C11, 2 more of those eye things. C11s, C14s. I need 2 more of those C14s. These look like 2 of the last 3. I wonder if that's going to be an extra. I wouldn't be surprised if that last one's an extra. We will see. So, SC2-25, C11, and C14. Those are the parts. We're going to make 2 of these. SC2-25. Put one of those eyelet inlet things on there. Put a spacer on there. So for this one, that it's not really just a spacer because it does screw on there. And we will screw that all the way on, and we will just hand tighten it. Nice little tug, and there we go. There's the first one. That's what it looks like. Let's do the other one. Just hand tighten. That's all I'm doing. Hand tighten. There you go. Maybe I'll tighten it more later. Just hand tightening. So those are your two pieces, right? Two pieces right there. Boom and boom. All right, next step, we're going to put together a couple of these things. We have the piece we made in step 32, these two. All right, so let's go. ST2-8, we need the ST-8, MP4, MP, those are the washers, and we need 4 of them. So we got those out, MP, and we need 4 of these guys, boom, as we're doing this twice. M3, we need 2 of those, and S2. S2, we need 2 of those. S2, SC2-8, MP, and M3. Got those all set out. This is another time where you want to really pay attention to the picture, right? Because if you get some of these parts, you'll end up redoing them. So we have our SC2-8. Did I not get them out? I needed 2 of these. Put a washer on it, and I start to wonder if I want to use that poster tacky again. Assembly we did in 33 with the eyelet side face down. An M3 bolt. Looks like it might be just a spacer. Just slides right on. All right, then the assembly we made in step 33. This time we want the bolt side, the eye inlet face up. Kind of a sandwich type of deal. And now we want another washer. Didn't need the poster tacky for this one. It just kind of really sits on its own. And my rubber mat here is a little tacky, just barely tacky on its own, so I can have a little grip there, and then just screw that bolt on. All right, that was just hand. Before I tighten those, I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. Once you get started, then you can grab your pliers and your screwdriver, and you can tighten it up. All right, we'll tighten that up. Now in the picture, they have it at an angle. Is that 100-degree angle? Maybe. We might call that 120-degree angle. Get it kind of tight. Then you can manipulate it to the right angle. All right, so to make it look like a picture, does it look like a picture? Maybe a little more. Maybe a little more angle. Like that? Yeah, sure. Something like that. Just a little snug, so you can still manipulate the shape of it, I guess. 120 angle? I don't know. Whatever angle that is, they're the same. All right, there's the 2 pieces. Boop, boop. There they are. That is the pieces assembly in step 34. Now we're on to step 35. Looks like we need to have the vertebrae. And we're going to add that piece we did in step 34 to the vertebrae. Let's get the pieces out. So we need an SC2-8 MP, the washers, EP5, D8. And then the S2, and then the S2. So those are the parts. Let's set those out. SC2-8, we need 1 of those, 2 of the MP, just 1 of these iridescent EP5s. I wonder what makes them iridescent. Some coating? What makes them all purpley and coppery? They're a cool looking thing, but what makes them that way? I wonder. If you know, put it in the comments for me. 1 D8 and 1 S2 end bolt. Let's put this thing together. We have the SC2-8, probably a bolt. Yep, washer that is. Put a washer on top of that. Put a washer on top of that. Looking closer at the picture. And here I put the picture right on the screen, so you should be seeing it. I could maybe zoom in on step 35. As I look at this picture a little more closely, you can see that it is the bolt head is toward the screw head. So it's like this, and it looks like it's angled the other way. So we're going to angle it the other way, so it's like this. All that goes on top of this. And then you have this piece. This is the EP5. So as you're doing this, notice you have kind of a slotty hole and a normal hole. It's supposed to go in that normal hole. And then you have your decorative piece. After the decorative piece, you put on the step from 31 with the back. Sure, we'll call this the back toward the bolt face. So it's like that. Before you put the washer on, you have to somehow get it on the vertebrae. Now, as I look at this vertebrae, does it matter which end is the beginning? Yes, it does, because all the way back here at the one end of the vertebrae, you have the pieces that are kind of two parts that are independent of each other. Then the rest of these are B5s. Now in the instructions, it specifically says B5. Take all those pieces together and put it onto the B5. The washer and the bolt go on the inside of the B5. Yikes, yikes, yikes. And so the note on that is saying, please note the orientation of the parts of the B5. Do not install them upside down. Yeah, we don't want to install them upside down. So I think it goes like this. Do not install them upside down, it says. Do it in the correct orientation. I at least got it started. Oh, I'm in a good spot. See how I got it all balanced here? Now, can I get a washer on there? Oh, I got the washer on there. Now, can I get the bolt on there? Can I use the pliers to set the bolt on top of that and just give it a twirl? Just a little. Can I get it set just on there a little bit? Oh, not so much. I got it just sitting there. Can I twirl it just a little bit? Twist it, twist it, twist it. Oh, it's moving. It's moving. I don't know if you can see that. I think I got it started. I'm trying to get that bolt on top of that nut, just on top of that bolt, and give it a little bit of a twist so that it just has, all I need is one thread. All I need is just one thread. Well, now, that wasn't particularly easy. Hopefully I have it in the right orientation. I think I do. I'll know better when I get it tightened up and I can move it around a little bit. But Dave, why are you going to tighten up without knowing your orientation? It's a great question. All right, now they do kind of lock washers. Can I just screw this on by hand? So I'm just holding that bolt with my finger. Yeah, it did. It's not super tight. I can go in now with that. I think that's the orientation it has in the picture. And if we compare that to the picture, it looks like in the picture they have this iridescent piece kind of lined up with the vertebrae, the next vertebrae, and they don't line up so perfectly. So we'll see. We'll see if that matters. And then they have this kind of up a little bit like that. All right. And so we're going to leave it like that for now. I suspect they're going to have me do the other side. Let's see. Step 36. 36 says bend step 34 45 degrees externally. And so I think it means like this. Kind of like that. Which kind of means that you won't be able to go in and manipulate that screw head very much afterward. So that's step 36, just bending that assembly from the last page. Go on to step 37. Yep, and as suspected, that is just doing the other side. So for step 37, we need SC2-8, the iridescent EP5, decorative piece, D8, and then the S2 bolts. Boom, chakalaka. One of those SC2-8s and a washer. We need two of those washers. P5, one of those iridescent pieces. D8, one of the decorative D8s, just like in the last previous steps. And then an S2. And we get to try this all again. You have your nut, you put a washer on it, 34 subassembly with the face of it toward this bolt head, like that. Go through the middle. We won't make that mistake again, right? We won't make that mistake again. Like that. You have your decorative piece, the subassembly of 31. All right. That kind of goes like this. Which hole did we put that in? We put that in the bottom hole. Bottom hole of that subassembly. I'm sure I did it right on the other side. Had to have, right? Had to have done it right on the other side. One thing that's nice in the design of this is that bolt fits just perfectly through the hole of the B5, which is nice because it gives a little bit of tension, means it won't fall off quite as easily as I manipulate this around so that I have any chance at all. I don't know if you can see that as we're going to put on the washer. Okay, got the washer on there. And we're going to try to manipulate that bolt again. All right, the idea of doing all these legs is a little bit intimidating with as much as I'm struggling with just doing these. I think these are going to be just the the antenna at the end of this nebulipede. All right, I got it balanced on top. Can I give it a spin? I know there's other people that I get this done in 4 hours instead of the 9 that it recommends. And I say, you are an experienced modeler and I am not. I do this for fun. I have to keep telling myself I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this because the end model is pretty friggin' awesome. And as I like to say, if it weren't a little difficult, then would it really be worth it? Oh, I got it started. Oh, now I got it. As I got a thread on there. Now that I got a thread on there, usually when I notice I've done something incorrectly, manipulate this around a little bit and try to grab it with the pliers, and we'll screw it all up. I got it now. Kind of tight. I think I'm going to tighten the other side too. So I'm noticing one of these previous sub-assemblies is pretty darn loose. Makes me want to see if I can tighten that up a little bit. See how this antenna, whatever this is. And if I just bend this out, I think I can tighten this up. Let's see if I can do that. Yeah, I think I like that better. Much tighter. It's not flopping around. Now, another thing here I'm noticing is what are the C30, the 31s on top of I think this is the B5, didn't quite fit. And I'll have to look at the end pictures. In the instruction manual, of course, it just fits perfectly. But it doesn't really sit very well next to the bolt of the B5 assembly. So I don't know if that's going to matter later or not. But in this particular one, it looks too wide. It doesn't fit. I don't see what I'm saying here, right here. You might see how this kind of rode up on the bolt a little bit. It's going to be hard to tighten those up now. But you can also see there's not really any space there. So I don't know how the design really got that to work. It'd be interesting to know. Their CAD program must be meticulous to get this just right. And maybe it's because that bolt is just not quite parallel, if that's the right word. Maybe if I turn that a little bit, maybe it would fall in there. Maybe. That is some amount of detail. All right, so that is step 37 and 38, right? Because I bent the step 34 part 45 degrees externally. Okay, how did you do? Did you have any problems? Did you figure out any tips and tricks that might help out our other viewers? Please leave them down in the comments. I'd really like to see them. I'm sure other people would too. Any little tips to make these things easier would certainly be appreciated. Everyone would appreciate it. And so if you leave those comments, I'd really appreciate it. While you're down there, why don't you hit that like and subscribe? And that really helps out the channel. I appreciate you. And until next time, take care.